We're still trying to figure out what these Celtics are. Let's do a deep dive into their offense, what is working and what can go better right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT. Karalis, recap the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, Depp and D White on the sideline. Rain and Jay's how it started. Raising business, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Where is your team every day? Your team is the Boston Celtics. And I talk about them Monday through Friday. I got bonus podcasts when they play on the weekends, and it's all on the number one sports podcast network on the planet. So thank you for being an everydayer, for making it number one, making the show number one. I do appreciate it. It's free. It's available everywhere. You can get into the YouTube page there, share your thoughts. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis, beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've been covering this team in some form for 20 years, doing this podcast for 10. And I've written a couple of books about this team. I am an old man. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. This week, we're looking at the Celtics team at 15-9, overachieving, surprising, third in the East, eighth overall in the NBA, second best offense. Like, what is going on here? So today, a deep dive into the offensive end. I'm going to do it with a special guest from Celtics blog and from twitter.com, Nick Land. If you don't know him, you should be following him, because one of the things that drew me to you, Nick, is the videos, the explanations, like in real time of, oh, the Celtics are running this play. Look at this screen. Look at the way it's setting. So you really have a good nose for the game. So I do appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, thank you, man. This is an honor.
Please. This is a waste of your time, but I appreciate you saying so, especially as a young person here to join me, the old person here. So we'll get your opinion on how this offense can get better, and really what better means for this team. We'll do that in the third segment. Second segment, we'll talk about the individual talent that these guys have. And before we get into the deep dive, I do have to start with this. Amari Williams was ruled out with a hairline fracture in his right hand, which I was at practice. I saw him out there. I didn't really notice anything, didn't even think of it. And I saw the injury report. And as soon as I tweeted out and quote tweeted the Celtics injury report, people were like, check on Nick. You're a noted Amari Williams lover. So first things first, how are you feeling? Are you okay?
I'll get back to you on that. I don't know if I'm okay yet, because I don't know if he's okay yet. Not yet. But his last G League game, he didn't seem like he was hurt. Of course, he had the triple double last game, and he didn't I don't remember seeing him go out with any injury. So not sure when this happened, but hopefully he's okay.
Kind of weird. But his passing, I know you've been documenting all of this stuff. Again, what's your Twitter handle?
Nick NBA Wati.
Okay, so check him out there, and there'll be a link to the YouTube page and all of that stuff and all the breakdowns. Documenting the passing. Amari's skill is passing, and he's a very promising young center. So hopefully this is nothing. It doesn't seem like anything. Like he was at practice. He had his hand taped, and he was going through some light stuff afterwards. So it wasn't like he was out there in a cast, and they probably wouldn't have him catching a ball and shooting unless it was not much there. So that's good news. All right, let's get into this offense. I don't know about you. I think one thing that stands about this offense with the set plays is, I think the way they are disguising a lot of the things. Yes. You tell me if you think anything different, but when we're looking at set plays, and let me just say as a side note, I don't know that they're running a ton of set plays because of the way they play, the transition, and the way teams defend nowadays. I think there are fewer set plays being run, but when they do run sets, you can see like you take a play and they break it up into 3 pieces and they stick 2 kind of like deceptions in the middle of it. And you're like, oh, if we take that out and put it together, that's this.
Right.
And I think that that's been kind of an impressive little wrinkle to, we're not just running X, Y, and Z. They're like, we have to make sure we're not telegraphing anything when we're running these plays.
Exactly. So the Celtics have a lot of like actions, right? So they have the chess, where that is probably the thing that they run the most this season, and that's when a shooter or a scorer, they come and set the screen on the ball. It could be a actual screen or a go screen, and then they receive a flare screen. And that's the action that they run a lot. They run it a lot. But just like you said, they do a great job of putting actions on top of actions, right? So let's say it's Horn's chess, right? They'll start in Horn's chess, and then they'll go to the zoom, right? And it's all to like not telegraph it, right? So if I'm in chess and there's a flare screen, that means the big is going over there. Then if I go to Spain right into that, it's a drop coverage, and everybody is just they're just scrambling. And the Spain, the zoom actions, like the handoffs out of the stagger screens, like there's just so much that this offense has been doing, and now like the shots are falling a lot more. So I love this offense. Shout out to Joe. They're executing, but now it's like the shots are dropping a lot more.
Yeah. So I think one thing when it comes to the level of deceptions and multiple actions and stuff like that you're talking about, my opinion is, when the worse the team is, the crazier the offense has to get. And you look at the Miami Heat as an example of, I don't think the Miami Heat are a good team. They got some good players, but they are a ways away from being contenderish. But so how do you combat that? They run this kind of crazy offense that people are talking about, like, oh man, they don't set screens and they do this and that and the other thing. I think the Celtics are running kind of like some standard stuff with those things that you're talking about. We're running this that flows into that, because they don't have a ton of talent like they have the last few years. And I think when you're looking at, okay, we need to hide this thing that's happening, it's because the guy setting the screen is like Nemish Queta, and he needs a little bit more time to get himself set. And the guy receiving the screen isn't Jayson Tatum, isn't always Jaylen Brown. It's Payton Pritchard and Derrick White, and good players that are a little bit more limited in their ability to break down guys. So I think, and you tell me what you think here, I think Joe's coaching kind of prowess there is understanding, like, we don't have a ton of individual creators anymore. We have to give them the extra step, the extra little opening, so they have a little bit more to take advantage of, because Derrick White with an extra step, it now becomes infinitely more dangerous versus, if you're just telegraphing it and they can blitz, whatever, that you're just giving them that little something extra to work with.
Yeah. And I don't think Joe thinks like, okay, these guys can't. But of course, when you don't have Tatum, that's 28, 7, and 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
The offense has to run a little bit different. I think Brown has done a phenomenal job, like not just scoring, because that's something that he's always done, but passing. Like when teams send 2 to him, or they send help, like he's making the correct play almost every time, right? And just in the first 12 games, like Derrick White, Payton Pritchard, those shots weren't really falling, right? But now over these last 12, Brown is averaging 7.5 assists, because those shots are now dropping, but it doesn't mean that he was not making those plays. So yeah, I think Joe, it's like, yeah, I don't have Tatum. those high ball screens, like they're not going to be as effective this year, even though they've been cool. Let's run all of this to get our players. And I say this a lot. If you've been on my channel, a half a step or a half a second, that's all NBA players need to make an advantage. So when that happens, and Joe talks a lot about screening, like what type of screen, like against a coverage, all of that stuff matters a ton, because it's just about getting that split second. And I feel like in the last 12 games, I think the Celtics have I know that the Celtics have done that in the first 12, but now the guys that you were like, okay, coming into this year, Derrick White is going to shoot this amount, Payton Pritchard is going to shoot this amount. They're doing that now. So now the offense has shot from in the first 12 games, their offensive rating was 17th. In the last 12 games, they're first.
Yeah.
Their 3-point shot, their 3-point percentage in the first 12 games was 33%. Now they're 41.2. All right. And it's like, and now something else happened 12 games ago, and that was Jordan Walsh getting his first NBA start. But like the offensive, like him on the glass, the offensive rebounding has jumped from 11th to 3rd from the first 12 to the 12. And about the offense, like when we played the Knicks, right? You have Brunson, you have Cat, right? Those are two sore people, right? But what they would try is put Jalen Brunson onto Jordan Walsh, which, okay, Jordan isn't really going to score on him, but if a shot goes up, Jordan's crashing. Like he can't check him on the glass. So there's just other opportunities for everyone. So if you want to take away, if you're trying to not have Jalen Brunson on Jaylen Brown, which is pretty smart, but you're also giving up other things, right? So this offense just has so many different types and different styles of attacking people.
So I like that. Jordan is kind of ushering in this kind of small ball. Started with Josh Minott. They're both part of this small ball kind of thing. We'll come back. Let's talk about, because that goes into the individual talent and playing to those talents. Another thing, I think the overarching theme in this is Joe Mazzulla is a smart coach, and he's doing the best he can with his roster, which is imperfect. We'll talk about that and how they're doing this small ball thing when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. You got to download that Game Time app because it's World Cup time. And with 48 teams here in North America, it's going to be a massive event, and getting tickets is very tough, but Game Time is clutch. They're giving you an advantage when it comes to snagging seats. You can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets at the moment they hit the app. Plus, it puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of, impossible. Honestly, it's realistic now. Pull up the app. The layout makes it very simple. Scroll through the matchups and compare seat views. You pick a game, tap a section, and you have your tickets locked within minutes. The seat view thing is super important because you're probably going to venues that you haven't been to. So you need to know what you're looking at, and they'll show you what the pitch looks like from your seat before you buy. So you can see it. And then when you hit purchase, no surprise fees. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets in every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code LOCKDOWNNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account. Use the code LOCKDOWNNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. Today's show is also brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems, and this is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of running a business and think, there has to be a better way, and there is. Today's episode brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. If you're ready to make your workday smoother and keep customers connected without the headaches, Quo makes upgrading your setup even easier. Streamlined system is such a big difference when communicating with customers. You got calls, texts, and voicemails all in one clean view to keep everything organized and helps you stay responsive. Being able to share one team number makes it easier to make sure nothing gets myths. Super easy, and make this the year where there's no opportunity, no customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus, get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. quo.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Now, make your Locked On Celtics experience even better. Take it up a level. Go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Celtics with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. All you got to do is go to you got to go to lockedonpodcast.com. I'll put it in the bottom here. lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. You can find the Locked On Celtics, or, if you want to join another club, it's there too. lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. Find the Locked On Celtics and join. $5 a month for ad-free plus all that other stuff, or $50 a year. All right, let's get back to the discussion here with Nick Land. And we finished the last segment talking about Jordan Walsh and his ascension. Look, the Celtics, it's so funny because I was mentioning this yesterday with Tom. The Celtics are last in pace, but they're at this point 8th or 9th in field goal attempts, top 10 in field goal attempts. So kind of hard to do when you're like last in pace, but your field goal attempts are way up. I think the offensive rebounding is a big part of this. Like, to be a top ranked offense, you got to get the steals to, get those extra possessions. But the offensive rebounding is such a huge thing in today's NBA, and the Celtics are doing it as well as almost anybody. But this is how you score in the small ball lineups, right, with Josh, with Jordan. It's a high energy thing. It's not even about the execution necessarily, because it's so frantic. Tell me what you're seeing, what you like from the small ball lineup.
Yeah, it just allows them to be fast, be really fast. So, the first game that I was ever not at, but like the first game that I ever covered was when we beat the Wizards by like 40 points. Right now, it's the Wizards, okay,
sure,
but they went small ball a lot in that game, and the Celtics are still not a great on the defensive glass. They're still like around like 24, 25, but like it's not hurting them, because when they do get the offensive glass and they crash that, right? Like you said, the Celtics are third in field goal attempts with like 91.6, and again, they're last in pace, right? The Rockets
third, they're up to third.
The Rockets take the least amount of take like our bottom three in threes, right? But Steven Adams and Şengün and Tari Eason and Ahmed Thompson, the offensive rebounding gets them extra possessions, and then those threes are a higher quality because they're kickouts off of scrambles. So the Celtics, like Josh and Jordan, and this works because Josh Minott and Jordan Walsh, no exaggeration, are two of the most versatile defenders in this league. Mm-hmm. I've seen Jordan and Josh guard Tyrese Maxey. I've seen them guard Austin Reeves. I've also seen Jordan Walsh guard Jaren Jackson Jr. I've also seen Josh guard Evan Mobley. So that works because we can basically switch everything, right? And then on the offensive glass, yes, we're not as strong, but we're faster. So if I'm crashing from the corner, a place that a traditional center already is not trying to be comfortable at, I'm crashing. They're trying to box out, and I'm going right past them, right? So it in so many ways, this team, like, I think their pace is low, like is dead last, but I think like within a possession, the small ball team, they run so fast. So in the half court, right? Like, of course, they're not going in the end, but in the half court, if Josh and Jordan are your fives and your four, if they're screening and they're rolling or they're cutting, that is fast. Like that is a fast pace. So I think it works because they have so many options.
think the cutting is also a thing. I mean, obviously, I love cutters. I love when guys cut. It's such an easy, drives me nuts, but it's such an easy way to score. I say this so many times, I forget how many times I've said it. But if I was in the NBA and I was like on the fringes, I'd be like, give me every opportunity to cut. I will be there because you're giving dudes assists. They'll give you the ball on the baseline. Josh plays out of the corner really, really well. Jordan plays out of the corner well. It's the corner crashes. It's the cuts, the understanding of when to cut, the angle to cut. Right. That's part of the offense. Like, and this is why I want to get into what this offense is, because it's not, people think of offense and thinks what you were talking about in the first segment. Hey, we're going to run this screen. We're going to run, the zoom action, but we're going to run it like a little bit differently. Like, we can do that, right? And I don't want to become the Dunker Spot podcast where like they've got that market cornered, but we can get into like the technical aspects of every screen, everything like that, the half court offense. But it's not just that. It's these cuts. It's the crashing. It's the everything that puts the ball up on the rim and gives it a chance to go through. They stumbled into this small ball lineup. And this is why I think when we talk about the Celtics offense being ranked second, I don't know if it's going to be ranked second forever. They're at an offensive rating of 122 when I checked this morning. They are up there, and I think they can stay up there around there. Maybe it'll be 3, 4, 5 by the end of the season. But I think they can finish as a top 5 offense because individually they have the right mix of guys. You have a screen setter in Nemish Queta, and he gets it now. I think he gets it as much as he's ever gotten it. Cutters, crashers, like we just said. Derrick has, his own skill set. Payton is as good an ISO guy as Jaylen, just in a different way, right? Because he scores a ton in isolation. He's not like crafty or as good as Jaylen, but he has his own ISO kind of go-tos that he scores on almost automatically. That little drive, spin over that stuff is amazing. So I think the individual talent is there. Joe Mazzulla uses it really, really well. And we'll take a break here. I want to know how it gets better, because I think we're at a point now where everybody kind of understands what they're doing. Is it just doing it more crisply, or do you see something that you say, hey, if they just did this or that, they can unlock something? Think about it for a second. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and get to that. Today's show is brought to you by ZocDoc. It's 2025. It's almost 2026. And these days of waiting for something to become a full-blown emergency before you see the doctor, they're over. You're not walking it off. I've spent my whole life as, hey, just walk it off. No more pretending that weird shoulder stiffness is just sleeping wrong. It's time to take your health seriously, and ZocDoc makes that easier than ever, because staying healthy is more than just hitting the gym or eating right. It's actually getting things checked out when something feels a little off. ZocDoc makes scheduling easier. You can search for in-network doctors and book right in the app. There are real appointment times listed, including same-day visits. No more back-and-forth phone calls or waiting weeks. And you can compare providers using real patient reviews, not advertisements. It helps you stay on top of your health before something becomes a bigger problem. And look, I'm in my 50s. This is the time whenever something feels a little off, you go like, oh, okay, let's get this checked, because any little thing can become a bigger problem. So stop putting off your doctor's appointments. Get the care you need. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. I told you about the Everydayer Club earlier. Has this show made your Spotify Wrapped? Prove it on social media, and you get a free month of the brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag the Locked On Podcast Network when you share it. I already had somebody do that today. You get $5 off your free first month. And it's very simple. Tag them on the social platform. We'll drop you the code, and you can become one of the first to join the Everydayer Club. Get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. So do that. Do that now. It's fun to see the Spotify Wrapped. It's an ego thing. Tell me how much you love me by sharing your Spotify Wrapped. Come on. So I asked you before the break, Nick, is there anything you think the Celtics can do to be even better offensively?
It's tough, man. It's tough because they've been such a great offense, but there are times where in games. So let's take the Knicks game for example, the one that just passed, right? We got down like 16-4, right?
Mhm.
And in that stretch, like we weren't going at Jalen Brunson at all.
Mhm.
And I tweeted, I was like, all right, can we like go at him? And then they came out, they went at him and they scored, and it kind of just became this avalanche of like we have a groove now. I think there are games where they don't go to the killer whale pick and roll as much as they can. And I think in the Toronto game, that was also something because as Toronto's like, I think the Celtics had like a huge lead. And then in like the third quarter, Toronto started to like creep back. And then they eventually took a 1 point lead. And I was like, all right, let's calm down, attack quickly. And there's sometimes that the Celtics are just running offense. They're like they're flowing. They're not necessarily hitting shots, but the guys are like, it's cool. But like there's sometimes where things get crunch time. Like it's crunch time. You need to go to what works, right? And in the Toronto game, that offense got back on track once they slowed down and said, okay, I'm gonna get quickly onto Jaylen Brown. And I know Scotty isn't trying to switch this. So if I set the screen and he's not trying to switch, that means two people are on Brown. And Mazzulla ball is 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s. Then we take the advantage and then we do that. So that's one thing that I think also they could get to the free throw line more. They're 30th in free throw rate. That'll obviously help if they can get some easy ones because they are a fairly good free throw shooting team. But like other than that, it's hard to find a lot of things wrong with this offense.
Yeah, it's funny. Jaylen is having the best free throw attempt rate of his career, right? He's taking 7 a game and he's making 78.5%. Okay. I don't know if you know the stats off the top of your head. Jaylen Brown is averaging 7.1 free throw attempts per game. Derrick White is second. Do you know how many free throw attempts he's attempting per game? 2.7. So they probably need to draw a few more fouls. But Derrick has not been a big free throw guy. Payton has never been a big free throw guy. And then after that, you don't have a lot of creators, right? You don't. Payton, if anybody is going to draw more free throws, it might be Payton, but I just don't think they're ever going to become a big free throw shooting team because Payton, when he sees resistance, spins away from it. Of course he is, because he's not that big. Derrick is he loves the floaters. He releases the ball before he hits contact. And I don't know if I want, like, Derrick is like awesome. I love Derrick. I have a very high opinion of him. He's also not the biggest dude in the world. Like, I don't know the numbers he's putting up in the weight room, but he's putting up better numbers on the basketball court than he is in the weight room. He's not the biggest dude. So I don't want him taking a lot of contact. Jaylen can do it.
Yes.
So, and I'm impressed that he's doing it and he's converting most of the time. So you are right. I have no faith in that happening.
Yeah, it's just like I had to pick something of this great
offense.
So
absolutely.
I really think the first point is like, yes, they need to do that more. The second one is like, okay, the only person that's really putting their head down is Brown, as you said. Now, Payton has some times where that shoulder, like he puts that into 6'10" guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not gonna call that because he's 6'1". And if he's putting his shoulder into a guy stronger than him, he's gonna get these. They're just not gonna call this. So, and I also think that helps because in the playoffs, when the foul calls get a little bit more scarce, the Celtics don't really care. Like we don't.
Right.
Okay,
It's not the bread and butter.
we don't really care. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I will end, like, we're here at the 30-minute mark, and like I'm just really getting into Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown, his assist rate, I mentioned it yesterday, but his assist rate is at like 25% at this point, and that's the highest of his career. Let me just double check. Yeah, 25%. That's higher than last year, which was 21.4%, which was the highest of his career. And prior to that, it was 17.9. So really he's 11 or 10 and a half percentage points above his career average assist rate. When you talk about what makes the offense go, like you hit it on the head. Mazzulla ball, people think it's threes. Sure, threes are preferred over some of the shots that, long twos for the most part, unless Jaylen's taking them. But it's all about creating that advantage. And what's the next right play? What's the next best shot you can take? Jaylen drawing, he's the only one that can really, really draw those advantages. The fact that he's now moving the ball, and I don't even know what he's averaging in potential assists. But I know the number's high. He's a willing passer on top of his usage rate being off the charts. He's a willing passer in a way that I didn't even expect. I thought he would be better, but he's better than I even expected. Part of what makes this go is his willingness to move the ball, create advantages for his teammates.
And as the top player, like the ball is going to find you regardless.
No,
like there was a play against the Lakers where he was on the wing, I believe, and Jordan Walsh was in the corner. Hachimura was on Walsh. And as soon as Jaylen Brown got the ball, he like slid all the way over into the paint. Like before Jaylen had did anything, he slid all the way over. And JJ said after, like, there's some guys that we will, like, if they hit threes, cool. Jordan was one of those, Josh was one of those, and Jordan just happened to have to shoot a 4 or 5, right? Now, Jaylen Brown could have still drove and then kicked it out. But before, like, he didn't even dribble the ball. He just passed it. And he's now trusting that Jordan can make plays out of that corner, which he did. He drove and he hit Cater for an assist. But like, and in the Toronto game, I believe he only had like 5 assists, but he had 8 potential assists. So just like you said, like it's if he sees help early, I feel like this year he's giving it up earlier, right? Which in the past, I don't think there's anything wrong with puncturing and then kicking out, but like you get into the advantage a lot earlier when you just give it up, and he's going to get the ball back. We cannot function offensively if he doesn't have it, so he's gonna get the ball back regardless. But yes, I think that Jaylen Brown has done a phenomenal job as a passer this season. Also, something is like a lot of his assists are for threes, right? In that Toronto game, 4 of his 5 assists were for threes, right? And it's like if he's at the top, right? And what Toronto was doing, their help was like at the free throw line a ton, right? So if the other defender is is right there, then that means Payton Pritchard, Derrick White are like at that hash mark kinda, right? So it's just like an easy pass. And now that they're shooting 40% from 3 over their last 12 games, it's just kind of impossible to check this team.
Shooting is like it's it right there. I mean, you got to hit your shots, and I think the early season struggles were just because a lot of those shots. You mentioned the stat earlier. Now, hopefully, the shooting stays a little bit consistent, and that will you want the offense to be even better overall. That 122 offensive rating takes into account some of the earlier season struggles. So as they move forward, hopefully that continues to sit there or rise. It's Nick NBA YT on Twitter. There's a link in your profile to the YouTube page. If you're on Twitter, then follow Nick, because he's the real-time breakdowns. Like, you're watching the game and then it's like getting the lesson of like, oh, here's what just happened. And so you do a great job on that. Also, I'm looking in your background. I see a Luther Vandross album. I see Payton Full. I see Eric B. and Rakim. You can't tell who's at the top.
That's the Commodores up there.
It's the Commodores. Okay. Now that is in my wheelhouse. I can, you said you're 23 years old?
Yeah.
So, for anybody to listen to music in my wheelhouse at 23, you're automatically one of my favorites. So
appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you hopping on. Thank you so much, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. And that is the show. Thank you again, Nick Land. You can follow him on Twitter and also on Celtics blog to see his breakdowns. Good young talent, somebody that you should be following. So check him out. I do appreciate you all listening, watching on the YouTube page. Again, join that Everydayer Club, $5 a month or $50 a year. You get ad-free version of this show if you want to listen to it ad-free, exclusive Locked On Discord, and a lot more. Go check it out. You can go to lockedonceltics.supercast.com, lockedonceltics.supercast.com. Check that out. And if we're on your Spotify Wrapped, show it to us, prove it to us on social media, tag the Locked On Podcast Network, and you'll get a free month. So thanks for that. Now, I would love it if you share the podcast, tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.